UFC Fight Night Strickland vs. Hernandez taking place in Houston, Texas this Saturday. I will be breaking down every single fight on this card. We are starting off the year with some great cards. This is going to be the second fight night of the year. I'm very excited to get into this one. A lot of competitive matches and possible title eliminator. Please make sure to go follow the socials. We are on Instagram, TikTok. We got the Discord. We got the email, just in case you like that beat you heard at the beginning of the video and going throughout the whole video. And make sure you subscribe to the Juice Reels so you can get all my plays that I have on every single sports book. Without further ado, let's get into this. Now we are cracking it off with the ladies. We got Juliana Miller taking on Carli Judice in the women's flyweight division. Juliana Miller is 29 years old with a 5-3 record. She is 2-2 in the UFC. On the shorter end at 5'3", she's a really good grappler. She has some sub threats there. Her striking though is very, very mid, and other than that, yeah, it's just her wrestling and the top control that she can gain. Other than that, nothing really special on her end besides the following and other things like that on IG that she has. But Carli Judice, 26-year-old, 5-2 with a 2-1 UFC record, slightly taller by an inch. She's an accurate, rangy striker. She throws a lot of feints, switches stances a lot. She has elite Muay Thai, a clean 1-2, a good straight left, and she, as she identifies herself, is a crispy striker. I think this is an obvious one, Carli Judice by KO. She's levels above in the striking. I think she's good enough in the grappling department and defense to not be threatened by Juliana Miller, and she just looks meaner, and that's usually the equation in women's MMA. So we're gonna make that short and simple. Carli Judice by KO. Now coming over in the featherweight division, we got Jordan Leavitt taking on Yadier Del Valle. Now, first off, I just want to say, Del Valle coming off of a controversy win as far as the efforts of the fighters, not obviously the fight. It was a complete domination, but a lot of people are saying Delgarian threw the fight. I actually had Del Valle as a dog on an official play that I cashed in on, so I understand the suspicion around the odds movement and everything, but at the end of the day, I thought he was just the better fighter. And so, none of that changes my opinion on him, but let's get into that. Jordan Leavitt, 30 years old, 12-3 pro record with a 5-3 record in the UFC, known as the Monkey King. He is a grappler, submission artist, and that's about where the description ends. He loses the valid comp. He's a shifty striker. It looks good, but there's not a lot of power. He had some very intense scrambles with Paddy Pimblett, so he's a good grappler. And that that's not the only reason. A lot of other fights, obviously, but I think Del Valle he's a good grappler too. He's 29 years old, 10-0 pro record. He's 2-0 in the UFC. He's gonna have that slight disadvantage in height and reach, but I don't think that will be an issue. He's good enough on the feet to really piece him up, but I think if Leavitt tries to just force this fight to the ground, that's going to be a big mistake. And like I said before, I think highly of Del Valle a lot because of a good fight he had with Michael Aswell before getting into the UFC, and I think Michael Aswell is going to be a good fighter. And I'm going to go Yadier Del Valle by sub. I think he just shows more promise. He has been battle tested by the UFC level comp, even though it was before, and he's just the overall better fighter. Leavitt might be a slightly better grappler in a complete grappling match, who knows, but in an MMA grappling match, I think Del Valle takes this one 9 times out of 10. Del Valle by sub. I'm pretty confident. in that pick. Let's move on. All right. Now we're getting into the welterweight division. We got Phill Rowe taking on Jean-Paul Lesboignani. I hope I said that right. I'm not going to attempt that again. Phill Rowe is 35 years old with an 11-6 pro record. He's 4-4 in the UFC. Goes by the Fresh Prince. He is a rangy striker with slick grappling. He has lost to respectable names. He's very durable. He will look to stay at range, but he will exchange with you if you get inside that pocket. He also has a very deep striking arsenal. It's pretty good. The one thing by his stance and how he shifts in the octagon, he does leave himself open to overhands, and that could be a problem when he's taking on Jean-Paul Lesboignani. 27 years old though, 9-2 pro record. This is going to be his UFC debut. He is a striker, but he does have grappling, but I think he enjoys the striking. He is a subspecialist with the KO power. His father was a pro MMA fighter, so this runs in his blood. If he smells blood, he will look to advance. Other than that, he stays pretty calm with a high fight IQ. He could hurt people, and he's still very logical on how he proceeds, which looks very good. Shows that, you know, he knows what he's doing in a cage. I don't know if he'll be able to finish Phill Rowe as long as Phill Rowe isn't really reckless, but I think this is a pretty good unanimous decision win by John Paul. This is a low confident pick though. I do think he could get caught by Phill Rowe. This is a huge step up, you know, in competition for him, but I think he'll come to the occasion. I think he'll just get the cleaner of the exchanges. He'll be able to throw that overhand and land some big punches on him. Rowe has threats that can be exposed if there's mistakes made by John Paul, but I'd say unanimous decision, John Paul. If not, he'll get knocked out, but that's a slim chance in my book. All right, let's move on to the welterweight division, or stay in the welterweight division. We got Ramiz Brahimaj taking on Punahele Soriano. Ramiz Brahimaj is 33 years old with a 13-5 pro record. He is 5-3 in the UFC. He's just an overall well-rounded fighter. He's very composed in the octagon. He gets gritty in the exchanges. In his last couple outings, he subbed Austin Vanderford, which looks really good. Billy Ray Goff, not as good. KO'd Mickey Gall, not as good. And then he lost back in 2024 to Thembe Garimbo. But overall, yeah, he's just an overall fighter. Pretty good, honestly. Looks to build pressure, get good combinations out there, throw kicks, level change. So kind of shows you everything he has in the ring. On the other hand, we got Punahele Soriano, also 33 with a pro record of 12-4, UFC record of 6-4. You could just call him Puna. He's a great wrestler, great top control. He'll look to unload ground strikes when getting on top of you. He does have KO power. He had a nasty KO. Nasty overhand right versus Uros Medic, who's also on this card. But I would say when he's moving forward in his boxing, he doesn't look super technical. He kind of just throws, and sometimes he waits for that counter overhand. So I don't know how that's going to play out going against a very technical guy. KO's always live, but I don't know if he'll be able to dominate in the grappling like he usually does. Brahimaj can get took down, but looks to get up often, so we'll see how that goes. The reason why I'm going to go with Ramiz Brahimaj is because the cardio, honestly. It's a tricky fight. You know, there's ways that it's live for the knockout as far as Soriano's side, but I think he doesn't look good once the fight goes later. And if he keeps trying to wrestle and is not able to get Brahimaj to the ground, that's going to call for a tire out. And Brahimaj could be live for this finish, but I just don't see that happening. I think he's just going to drag him out in the last 2-3 rounds and really outscore him and take this by a decision as well. So we'll go Ramiz Brahimaj by decision. I stay with me, guys. So these names are tricky. All right, we're moving into the women's bantamweight division. We got Nora Cornolle versus Joselyne Edwards. Now, they have fought before in the UFC. Cornolle won that fight, but it was very questionable. I honestly thought Edwards won it. I thought she had done enough, and she ended up, You know, she was fighting a Frenchman in France. You know how that crowd is, and that I think had some effect on the judges. You know, things have changed. Nora Cornolle is 35 years old now. She's 9-3 pro record with a 2-3 UFC record. She is a striker. She has great blitzes, good cardio. She will throw submission threats, good head movement when entering the pocket. She has some solid clinch work, and she won that first meeting by a decision. When they called it unanimous, that was what even made it a little fishier for me. I think at least a split, then I wouldn't have been as mad. But the unanimous kind of made me be, think otherwise on that fight. On the other hand, we got Joselyne Edwards, 30 years old, 16-6 pro record with a 4-4 UFC record. She is La Pantera. That's what you can call her. She is a rangy, dangerous striker. Jabs, head kicks. She likes to mix it up. She has been improving, though. Good head and arm takedowns. Seems to lose position, though, when looking to gain that control. She is on a 3-fight finish streak right now in the women's MMA. It doesn't even matter what weight class. 3 finishes in a row. You must be improving. And her losses are valid. This is a really tricky one. You know, they say it's like 77% of the time when someone fights again outside of championship fights, the person who won again. So it's kind of hard to not go with Nora Cornell by decision. And honestly, she has the less pro miles, and I think she just needs to repeat doing what she did last time and just blitz her and make it messy. We'll see. This is a tough pick. It's a very tough pick. Just gonna swing here. We're gonna go Nora Cornell by decision. I think she wins again. I think she actually wins this time. I think the less miles on her is gonna keep her grittier. We're gonna swing for the punches. Low confidence pick. Please don't take this. Take this with a grain of salt, All right, moving on to the men's flyweight division. We got Aiden Coria taking on Luis Gurele. Aiden Coria is 27 years old with 11-3 pro record. This is going to be his second fight in the UFC, where he won his first one with a 1-0 record. Nicknamed the Cobra. He's a technical striker. He evades very well. Good footwork. Good at closing the distance. And he has some great boxing combos. He just... he's a little marcher. That guy, he gets in and out pretty well. He's going to be taking on Luis Gurele, who's 32 years old with a pro record of 10-2. I think he had a loss to Ode Osbourne. He's an explosive boxer. He has all right head movement. He is very hittable, though. And when he closes the distance, he leaves his chin up in the air on a platter. And I think that's going to cause the KO. Aiden Coria is going to get a knockout here. He's just the more technical boxer. He has better counters. And with that chin up on those advancements, I see him getting knocked out here. Yeah, sorry for the UFC record saying 0-0. He definitely does have a UFC record. I want to say he's 0-1. Aiden Coria by KO. All right, let's get into the men's flyweight division. We got Ode Osbourne taking on Alibi. Idriris. Ode Osbourne is 34 years old with 13-9 pro record. He is 5-7 in the UFC. He is the Jamaican sensation. He is an elite athletic striker. He spams feints like crazy and then looks to stay on the outside and get off some good strikes. Good kicks to the body. Good diverse striking game. The kryptonite to him is takedowns, and I don't necessarily want to say grappling 100% because he can get up sometimes, but he's going to get took down. He's gonna get took down, and that makes it hard to pick with this guy. You know what I mean? He has no grappling or wrestling offense. His grappling defense is very subpar, but he just has no takedown defense. And if he's not pressured, he'll outstrike you, But we'll see how that works against Alibi Idriris, who's 31 years old with 11-1 pro record. He is 0-1 in the UFC. He's a decent striker. He's actually a grappler who's just undercover right now. He likes striking, but he's actually a really good grappler. Even though he did lose to Joseph Morales by sub in that first UFC debut, but I think his striking is decent enough. This is another very low confidence pick. As far I'll throw a little bit of insight on this video, but I'll go Alibi Idriris by decision, but I won't put money. I think where I'll put money is an Ode Osbourne knockout. I think that's where the value is at on this. But we're just gonna go a sake for the pick, Alibi Idris by decision. I think he'll get the takedowns and control time. He might not be able to keep him there, but I think he should trade as little as possible and just get this fight to the ground. But we'll see how that plays out. If he still likes to strike, that's not Ode Osbourne's not the guy just to sit and try and have a striking war with. So a little bit of insight right there. You guys take that with what you will. All right, moving on to the welterweight division. We got Chidi Njokuani taking on Carlos Leal. Chidi Bang Bang is 37 years old with a 25-11 pro record. He is 5-4 in the UFC. He is a technical, long-rangey striker with some elite Muay Thai. He does look vicious. He's not the best when pressured. He can get off some good shots in an exchange, but overall, he's the guy that likes to stay on the outside, push inside over here and there, but look to land big shots, big straights, high kicks. He's going to be taking on Carlos Leal, who is 31 years old with a 22-7 pro record. He is 1-2 in the UFC. They call him the Leon. He is a forward boxer. He is best in the scraps when it's nice and messy. I don't think he's the most technical. He did get KO'd by Muslim Salikov, and you know, he's old. That guy's like 41 right now, so it's not the best look. You know, stylistically, you would say the pressure might be able to overwhelm Chidi Bang Bang, but I don't know. I think my pick is gonna be Chidi Bang Bang by the Bang Bang. I think he's gonna get the knockout here. I think he's gonna get an early finish. I honestly really do. I just think he's gonna, if you look at the line movement, it has dropped a significant amount. He was a big dog. I did put a play on him right when I seen that he was a like plus 185 dog. Got quick on that. So you know, I'm glad I have. Now he's like a minus 105. You know, they'll probably be at pick'ems if he doesn't shift into the favorite. But yeah, we're gonna go Chidi Bang Bang by KO. All right, let's get in to the main card. Zachary Reese taking on Michel Pereira. Zachary Reese is 31 years old with a 10-2 pro record. He is 4-2 in the UFC. He is a good striker. He has sub looks during the scrambles. Hasn't really fought anyone special besides Azamat Bakoyev and Cody Brundage, which he has lost to. Other than that, kind of cans, like, you know, beat Jackson McVeigh, but you know, it wasn't really anything good. He went the distance with Jose Medina, who is not good in the UFC. And you know, that worries me about his skill level and about going against a guy in Michel Pereira, who's 32 years old with a 31-14 pro record, 9-5 in the UFC. I don't even know how to say the nickname. Demilidor. He's an unorthodox striker, athletic blitzes, powerful kickboxing, relentless pressure, spinning attacks, KO power with a submission threat, but all of that goes out the window about after a round and a half. You got a good round of a very dangerous man. Look at him. Look at him. But after a round and a half, the guy just fades and gasses out, and he is an average guy on the street in a bar drunk. But even with that issue, I'm going to go Michel Pereira by KO. I think he's just so much more aggressive than Zachary Reese. I think he has a threat on both routes. He wants to take this. I would stay on the feet rather than going to the ground with Reese, but you know, it could go either way. But I think he's just the more athletic. And I think as long as he brings that pressure the first round, he can finish Zachary Reese. Michel Pereira by KO. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this one because I just can't think of, I can't sit here and go off about how I think Zachary Reese might be able to pull this off. But I could about Michel Pereira as long as it lies in that first round. Outside of that, you know, so low confidence, I guess. Kind of not. I would say the KO in the first round happens before the sub in the later rounds or the decision. So I'm going to throw my faith in Michel Pereira. Now, you guys are going to love this one. We got Jacoby Smith taking on Josiah Harrow in the welterweight division. We got Jacoby Smith, 30 years old with 11-0 pro record and 2-0 in the UFC. He's an explosive boxer, dangerous athleticism. Now, notice I didn't say striking, athleticism. That is, it's pretty cool to see him in that in that octagon. He's a good wrestler. He has sub threats as well, along with that, explosive boxing, knockout power. What I question is his cardio. He doesn't look that good in the later rounds, even though he's still pulled off some wins. And he's taking on Josiah Harrow, who's 27 years old, also 11-0 pro record, but this will be his UFC debut. They call him the Muscle Hamster. He is a grappler. He's an elite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist. He does have some good boxing and good head movement as well. He'll look to keep changing the levels, keep a jab going. But overall, one thing I noticed is in his championship fights back in the LFA, in those 4th and 5th rounds, he looks good. He looks really good. And I'm going to go with the dog upset right here. I think Josiah Harrow can get a submission late in the 2nd or 3rd rounds. If he can keep a pace going with Jacoby Smith and not get finished in that 1st round, I think it's all his. And he has not been finished. Obviously, he's undefeated. He's been through some wars. He's been kneed in the head and then kneed in the head illegally and then still fought through and pulled off a finish. I see a good dog call here. I think he's ready. He's calm in the octagon. Not that Jacoby Smith isn't, and not taking nothing away from him, but that cardio. And I think if he can't get a finish soon, he leaves every door open to get finished here. I don't think this fight goes to decision. I don't think it does. Someone's getting finished in the 2nd or 3rd round. It's that simple. And if you ask me who I think is going to get finished, it's going to be Jacoby Smith, Josiah Harrow by submission. Yeah, dog call right here. I'm not even going to tell you my confidence level. All right, we're not even going to talk about that. We're just going to call it. All right, let's move on to the big boys. I'm very excited for this one. We got Sergey Spivak taking on Ante Delija. Sergey Spivak is 31 years old with a 17-6 pro record. He is 8-6 in the UFC, goes by the Polar Bear. He is a grappler first, but he will look to strike. Overall, though, dangerous once he catches your back. He's a decent striker, but the threat lies in the grappling. He will mix in boxing with some high kicks. Good, decent combos. But for a heavyweight, his grappling is just unbelievable. He's going to be taking on Ante Delija, who's 35 years old with a 26-7 pro record. 10-7. He's not 10-7 in the UFC. But he is a very dangerous boxer. Applies a lot of pressure. He can be chinned. He's a long-time fighter in the PFL with lots of XP in the fight game. And let's, address the elephant in the room here. That fight with Waldo Cortez was weird. He put some unbelievable pressure. Yes, he got him with an eye poke, but he was putting on some shots on him before that eye poke. Then he thought he won. Then you got the adrenaline dump. And then you got Waldo Cortez pissed and then comes out and then finishes him. Very weird loss there. I'm not gonna take that loss too hard. I wouldn't if I was him. I wouldn't. He's a great fighter, and he's gonna finish Sergey Spivak, Ante Delija, by a KO. I think the pressure will compromise Spivak's grappling offense. I think it's gonna be hard, and he's a good enough grappler to, and I think a sub threat's live. If he can, get a couple good shots, Spivak throws a desperation takedown, I think he can finish him. I think he's gonna just finish this fight. I wouldn't even say go after the KO. I just say Delija in the distance. I think that's the easy one. Sergey Spivak is he relies on his grappling too much, and he's going against a guy that can grapple. So, not known for it, but yeah. All right, we got Dan Ige taking on Melquizael Costa in the featherweight division. Dan Ige is 34 years old with a 19-10 pro record. He's 11-9 in the UFC. He goes by Dan 50K Ige. He is a good striker. He closes the distance very well. He has great footwork from what I noticed. He likes to switch stances pretty often, especially after the exchanges, and then kind of get in, exchange, get out, switch the stance, give you some more looks. He likes to rip the body shots occasionally. He'll level change. He's some decent grappling defense. Not crazy, but it's decent. He is very durable in the octagon, and he's never been finished in his whole pro career. He has KO power. That's how he got Sean Woodson, who's also a tall, lengthy guy, so We'll see how he can pull that off versus Melquizael Costa. 29 years old with a 25-7 pro record. He does have a UFC record. He's a rangy striker with high-level grappling, great defensive scrambles on the ground, good clinch work, good front kick and teep kicks to the body. When he gets on a flow, he stays composed with strikes, but he does look to employ the grappling a lot. That's where his bread and butter is. I'm just going wild on this card today. I don't know what it is, but we're going to go Dan Ige by KO. I don't know why. Even with him losing to Pitbull, I just see him being able to close the distance well in this fight and land a big shot. I just see it. I see it. I see some dogs coming out to Saturday night. Okay, it's gonna be a full moon. I think he just has more XP. He's been in a lot higher level bouts so far. This is low confidence, this one, but I think there's value on the KO for Dan Ige. I don't decision, no, but KO I think is live. I think it's very live. I think Costa, he gets hit. He's able to get hit. He's been chinned, and yeah, Dan Ige by KO. So let's swing for the fences here. Let's move on into the co-main event. We got Geoff Neal taking on Uros Medic in the welterweight division. Geoff Neal is 35 years old with a 16-7 pro record. He is 8-5 in the UFC. He is named Hands of Steel. He is a striker, aggressive boxer, very crisp when he's closing the distance. Good grappling defense overall too. Shows resilience when exchanging though, and has been fighting elite competition for a good amount of time. Geoff Neal will look to just rip the body, rip uppercuts in the clinch, throw overhands, jab. He's just a dangerous boxer, someone you do not want to stand and try to bang with. It might not come out good for you if you're not an elite striker. Uros Medic is 32 years old with a 12-3 pro record. He's 6-3 in the UFC. He goes by the Doctor. He's a southpaw striker, rangy with KO power and a lot of movement. He has some decent grappling defense, but doesn't do the best off the back foot. And I think that's where Geoff Neal is going to put him Saturday night. Geoff Neal by KO. I think he's going to be closing the distance, and that's going to leave chins open as far as the side of Uros Medic. I think he can look to repeat that KO that Soriano did on him with that pressure. He's tall, he's going to be leaning back, and Geoff Neal does not stop on his blitzes. He throws a few. He's just a higher caliber fighter here. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this one. Pretty straightforward with that. Geoff Neal by KO. Let's get in to this main fight of the evening. Sean Strickland taking on Anthony Hernandez in the middleweight division. Whoever wins this can be looking at a very big fight, if not a title fight here soon with Hazmat, which I both think will lose if they go, but that's another video. Sean Strickland, 34 years old with a 29-7 pro record. He is 16-7 in the UFC. He's a former middleweight champion. He took the belt from Israel, the last style better, Adesanya. He has a tall jabbed base boxer with forward movement, mixes in teeps down the middle. That's about it. Kind of just keeps that pressure, keeps those hands up, looks at you crazy, throws a teep, throws a couple jabs, throws a teep, throws a couple jabs, and will occasionally just explode and try and finish you. And then if that doesn't happen, right back to plan A. He has good cardio in the later rounds, though. He keeps a consistent pace, is what, if you watch a lot of his fights. Average takedown defense. He does get took down from time to time. He has a good stand-up game versus most, though. He did fight Dricus du Plessis twice for the belt, coming up short in both of those. But he has been fighting at a very, 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 very high level for the last couple fights. And he's been going 5 rounds for the last couple fights. So, you know, his cardio is there. This is nothing new to him. In this situation, he's going to be taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who is 32 years old with a 15-2 pro record. He is 9-2 in the UFC. Overall, though, he is a striker, grappler, pressure fighter with good head movement, lots of level changes. He continuously level changes to keep you guessing. He's best when fights get to the fence. When fights get in close and the clinch fence, that's when he's best. Good cardio and tends to wear down his opposition. Good boxing. Gets hit when pressured at the beginning of the fight, but looks to always just continue that pressure, not get finished, and eventually wear down who's ever in front of him. Once that cardio starts to kick in, that's when his pressure starts to kick in. And it's a very interesting matchup here because, you know, Strickland has good cardio as well and can look to bring that, but that's kind of how he lost to Idriris. Is getting put on the back foot constantly, because if he gets you backing up, that's when he's the best. And the thing about Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is he does not stop even if he is getting hit. He doesn't stop. And I don't know if Sean Strickland can get the KO. I don't know if he'll be that aggressive. I think he's going to be more conservative of a fighter here. And that's not how you want to fight Anthony Hernandez. I think you just got to put it all out there. It sounds stupid, but you don't want to just stretch this fight out. Because that guy's not going to get tired. That pressure's not going to stop. And I think there's a lot of ways this fight can go. I really do. I really think there's so many ways. There's not just one guaranteed. You know, Hernandez by sub is just not super, super likely. KO is more, I would say, if he can really employ that. But I'm just going to go with Fluffy by decision here. I think they ride out the 5 rounds. He exhausts Sean Strickland in the 4th and 5th. Maybe just the 5th. Maybe just outpoints him. This could be just a banger all the way through. I think this fight just has so many avenues to which it can go. And the small, low confidence percentage pick that I can run with right now is Fluffy by decision. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. This is Rhythm Bets. I will be doing a video on strictly betting insight. We'll have more details with that coming out soon. Again, go follow the socials. Go follow the TikTok, Instagram, Discord. Message me on the Gmail if you want to talk. Any other business inquiries, go ahead and follow the Juice Rolls for every one of my plays. Thank you guys for tuning in.